I woke up today and said to myself, it's time to make a Stranger Things tier list I've never made in the history of the channel. So that's what I'm doing. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another Stranger Things video. I will never get sick of saying that. Today, I'm doing a tier list ranking of all the villains from Stranger Things. Surprisingly, this is a tier list I've never made about this show. I'm here to rectify that. I'm doing it right now. I've got about 19 of the show's villains. Obviously, there are major villains in this show, but there are some side characters who are villainous as well, including different iterations of some of the creatures, and you'll see what I mean when we get into this thing. But before I do, hit that like button, comment down below your thoughts on all these villains. Where would you rank them? What tiers would you place them in? And if you want to fill out your own tier list, it'll be linked down below. Fill it out. You can tag me on Instagram, and I'll be sure to repost it to my story. And if you want extra content from the world of Stranger Things and beyond, Patreon is the place to be. We just started doing Rewind for Season 5. We're going back through. It's been a couple months now, so we're seeing how Season 5 holds up on rewatch, diving into every episode, kind of giving our final thoughts, almost labeling it as like a therapy session for Season 5 to see what holds up and maybe what doesn't. Without further ado, enough yapping on my part, let's get down to business with this tier list. So the tiers I have are S tier, A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, and F tier. Your standard tiers here with a tier list. And I've got 19 villains fully randomized, so let's just do this thing. First up, we've got Jason from Season 4, who didn't start out as a villain, but he kind of became twisted as the season went on. He almost got too far gone. Obviously, what causes this downfall, the catalyst for this, is the loss of Chrissy, his girlfriend. She dies. He believes it's at the hand of Eddie Munson and a satanic cult, so he doesn't have all the information. He's kind of in the dark, and ultimately he gets split in half in the Creel house. It's kind of satisfying at that point, but also the more you watch Season 4, the more you're like, I kind of understand where Jason's coming from. I'm not defending his actions. He definitely took it too far, him and his crew. The way they treated Lucas and Erica is just awful at a certain point, but I'm going to say in the grand scheme of this show, he's like a B tier villain. He's a solid, C-level villain in Season 4, because you got Brenner in the picture, you got Vecna, and he's kind of around, but I'd say he's a solid villain, especially in the small town setting of Hawkins and that character group with the Creel house. Next, we have Dr. Brenner, who is an OG villain.
You are like Papa!
The main man from Season 1, and as we get further on with the show, we find out more about how he's basically been pulling the strings all along in pursuit of Henry Creel. What he did to Eleven and all those kids is truly awful. He was essentially the mastermind of this organization where they transfused blood into parents to try and basically recreate Henry and other kids. Ended up working with Eleven. I'm going to say because of the iconography, because of Modine's performance, and just because of his relationship with Elle, especially like his final moments in Season 4, I'm going S tier, right? He's manipulative. He does operate in that gray area at times, but ultimately he is manipulative, and he's such a well-written character who had a great send-off. I gotta go S tier for Papa. I mean, Papa is an OG villain. I gotta show respect where it's due. I feel like he belongs in S tier. Even though you hate his guts, that makes a great villain. Next, we have a Demobat. I've got a couple demo variants on this list. I wanted to have some fun with it, spice it up with a little demo action in my life. Demobats, I'm going like C tier. They're not the best of the demos. I'll put them right here. They are responsible for killing Eddie, R.I.P. But these things almost, they're more about style points, right? Obviously, they kill Eddie because there are so many of them. What are you to do when there are like 100 Demobats swarming you to death? But when they're in limited numbers, they're very manageable, right? They're able to take them down in the opening of Episode 7. Steve bites one of them. They're all able to kind of hit him with the boat paddles. So they're not the most OP, but if you get a group of these things together, the pack, dare I say the hive mind, the hive mentality, they can become overpowering and scary. But of the demos, I think like if someone said, hey Chris, you got to go toe-to-toe with one of the demo variants, I'm picking Demobat, right? I think I could take one. 20, that's a different story, but one Demobat all day, I'm smacking that thing around, whooping it with its tail, throwing it around like a damn stingray on a stick. Easy.
I'm breaking.
Anyway, next up we have Andy, who's one of the bullies. He's actually not just in Season 5, he's in prior seasons, but his biggest role, I'll say, is in Season 5, as he is like the new head bully who we see picking on Dustin. I actually just rewatched that episode today for Stranger Things Rewind, and he's such an ass, he takes it too far at times. I don't care for him. He's not as good as Jason, so I'm going to put him in like probably the D tier. I think that he just doesn't do a great job at filling in those shoes. He's not the most menacing. As a character, you don't get all that much backstory with him. He is literally just your stereotypical 80s jock, and that's the entire role that he serves in the show. Does he do a good job kind of going back and forth with Dustin in Season 5? Absolutely. But other than that, there isn't much meat on the bone in terms of depth, whereas Jason has a lot more. Now next we have the Mind Flayer, specifically the shadow form monster that we see in Season 2. I have 3 different versions of the Mind Flayer on this list. While they are all the same entity, I wanted to split them up because they have different auras about them, and frankly different roles with their respective seasons, so I just felt it was appropriate to kind of split them up into 3 different categories. This is the first version of the Mind Flayer we see, and in my opinion, the best version of the Mind Flayer that we see. There's the most mystery around this version, and the design itself is the sleekest. This shadow monster, there's really no noises made. You really only see this version of the Mind Flayer inside of Will's mind, and it's this looming, eerie presence every time this form of the Mind Flayer is on screen. This is when it had, again, the most mystery. We had no idea really the backstory or why it was shaped like this. I'm going, honestly, S tier with the shadow form of the Mind Flayer just because of straight up aura alone, but also the design is out of this world. I think when I think the Mind Flayer, my mind immediately goes to this version that we see right here in Season 2, so I'm going S tier. Honestly, I think I'm even going over Brenner. Call me a madman. I just think that design is so clean. But also, right, the Mind Flayer's ultimate goals, we can factor that in from, future seasons, makes this character, this entity, if you will, a lot stronger of a character. But specifically in Season 2, the power of the Mind Flayer, pulling the strings all along, of course Vecna is involved, we'd find out later, but the power of this entity, unreal. And just the mystery, again, when Will is like, he likes it cold. Terrifying. The possession element of the shadow form is what kind of takes it up a notch for me. Next we have Dr. K. I've marinated on this character a lot since the season ended. What could have been, I'm not saying she was awful or anything, but they really could have done something more with her. And I think a lot of you guys watching will agree. I was on the train, she's got to be somehow related to Brenner, maybe a sister, a cousin, a widow, whatever it may be. I think her sort of having similar motivations to Brenner because of a family connection would have hit 10 times harder, in my opinion. Obviously, she's kind of trying to recreate the program, but I just wish there would have been some sort of familial connection there because they even have similar like hairstyles, you know what I mean? I'm going C tier with Dr. K. Pretty generic at the end of the day, right? Linda Hamilton's an 80s icon. I respect it, but at the end of the day, this character didn't have much depth to her. She was fairly one-note, and they could have done so much more with her. So I think I'm going to go C tier right here, probably over a Demobat. But man, what could have been with Dr. K? Next we have Grigori, the Terminator, as we like to call him. I was actually able to interview him and Alec Utgoff on a panel in 2024. I'll link that up above with Andrei Evchenko and Alec Utgoff. That is Grigori and Smirnov, for those wondering. They're both lovely individuals. And for Grigori, I'm going B tier. I'm going top of B tier. I think that he's even a better villain than Jason. I'll tell you why. He serves his purpose so well. Season 3 is the one season of the 5 that full sends the hardest on the 80s nostalgia. It's vibrant, it's colorful, it's got a banger 80s soundtrack with some pop hits. This is like right around the time of the Terminator coming out. I believe that movie was 1984. So this is such a clear homage to Arnold's performance, and it is just cool to have this almost unbeatable character who's just a meathead, doesn't speak all that much, almost like the Ivan Drago, right? The Terminator of it all, who's just a big, badass Russian who doesn't mess around. And he's the physical foe, the opponent that Hopper has to go toe-to-toe with multiple times throughout this season. He's just that, bug that you can't quite kill. He's a roach. He won't go down. I really just like that trope, and he does a great job of tracking Hopper all season, and ultimately he meets his demise at the hands of Hopper. He serves his purpose. He's such a clear homage to other 80s icons. Speaking of Season 3, by the way, we have Mayor Larry Klein, played by Carrie Elways, who's also in The Princess Bride. I love how they incorporate 80s actors in almost every single season. I'm a fan of this character because I like Dr. Lawrence Gordon from Saw mainly, but I just think this small-town slimy politician, this mayor, you want to punch him in the face. He really is an a-hole. He's doing some shady business dealings behind the scenes. I think he, in terms of the overall show, because of the performance from Carrie Elways and like multiple moments where like, God, this guy's an ass, I got to go B tier with him as well, and I think I go relatively high. I think I'd put him right in the middle. I think Grigori has more screen time, has more memorable moments. But Mayor Larry Klein, man, when he's going toe-to-toe with Hopper, you're like, oh, come on, Jim. Punch him. Next, we have Colonel Sullivan, a character who I couldn't really care less about. He's so uninteresting, and the Season 4 plotline with him in pursuit of 11, it's one of my least watchable moments from Season 4. Like, every time it comes on, I'm like, oh, I might skip through this. Just don't care. Even in Season 5, he's got a limited role. I'm just not that interested. Honestly, I think I would go D tier with him. Just not that compelling of a character, and just representative of the overall military presence that's in pursuit of 11, but they're so in the dark and really don't have an understanding of what they're getting themselves into. They don't have all the information. They think they know it all. They're so off base, and he gets a rude awakening as he gets burnt pretty badly in season 5 because of his ignorance. Next, we have the next form of the Mind Flayer. This, of course, is what some deem the spider form. It's like the physical form of the Mind Flayer that appears in season 3, specifically the finale that kills Billy, but it's still the Mind Flayer entity at its core. I think this shot right here is sick. I prefer the shadow form of this Mind Flayer. I would probably go A tier with this version of the Mind Flayer right here, just because when I think season 3, I feel like Flayed Billy is doing a lot more of the heavy lifting and the work than this physical form Mind Flayer, and so I go higher with that character, who we'll talk about in a second. But for that entity, that version of the Mind Flayer, I'm thinking A tier. Its strongest moment definitely is in this finale. When I think of the Mind Flayer, that's not the first version of the character, of the entity that comes to mind for me, at least. Next, we have a Demo Dog. A lot of these guys in season 2. I would say Demo Dogs are a bit scarier and more intense than Demo Bats, because they have the tenacity and the viciousness of a Demogorgon, but they're almost more agile. They're harder to get to. They move faster. They're on the ground. It's kind of like a tiger or a cheetah. It can launch at you, can hunt you down. They get Bob in season 2 in a gnarly fashion, one of the most gruesome deaths in the whole show. I think I go B tier with Demo Dogs. I would probably go right here. We had a Demobat C tier, Demodog B tier. I think the Demodog is a cooler design. It's the first real evolution of a Demogorgon that we saw in Stranger Things. And of course, they're more memorable. They serve a larger role. Even in season 5, we get to see some of them in like the laundry room. Actually, the whole entire hospital, they're coming after Max. Next, we have Vecna, or Henry Creel, or One, or Mr. Whatsit. Pick your preference. I went with Vecna here because that is like the most menacing look for the character. Vecna's the big baddie of Stranger Things. Of course, he's going to the top of S tier. No one's going to dethrone him there. Vecna is such a well-written villain, and Jamie Kimmelbauer's performance is really what takes this character to another level. In season 4, we see him as, the orderly, ultimately revealed to be Henry, One, and Vecna in the Massacred Hawkins lab. But that performance, and really the whole monologue Jamie Kimmelbauer delivers in the Massacred Hawkins lab, is a reason this villain has staying power. You get a whole fleshed out backstory for him. You see him from childhood, and you understand why he's broken. Even in season 5, when he's having another phenomenal moment with his acting, it's Jamie Kimmelbauer crushing it, he kind of explains, hey, I liked this feeling when I became connected with the Mind Flayer, and he fully embraced it. Like, he could have turned away and could have gone to the light side, but he chose to embrace it. And that just shows how evil he really is deep down and how much corruption there is inside of this character. Of course, the Stranger Things, the first Shadow stage play dives into this character and adds much more depth to him. I haven't seen it in person. I would love to one day. But Vecna is the icon, the villain of this show. Mr. Whatsit was a cool twist on that character to start season 5. Seeing Henry's backstory, and then, of course, One. All of it just makes sense. It culminates perfectly in the coolest reveal in all Stranger Things, and the design alone, nightmare fuel, especially in season 5 when he comes in episode 4 and just massacres everybody at the Max Z. He is the coolest, best, most well-written villain in all of Stranger Things, for sure.
Found you.
Next, we have Lieutenant Akers, who is like the second in command, essentially, with the military presence in season 5. I would go C tier, probably like right here. I think that K is better between the two of them. But honestly, I have to commend him for going toe-to-toe with Hopper in some scenes. Like, there's one interrogation scene, I'm like, okay, I see you, Alex, bro. So kudos to him. And finally, for the Mind Flayer, we have the, like, season 5 final form of the Mind Flayer in the Abyss, where it's at its largest. It looks like a straight-up spider. I would say this version, we don't get a ton of time with. And 11 does put in the work, along with the rest of our crew, inflicting damage to the hive mind to take this thing down. It's kind of neck and neck with the physical form from season 3. I'd probably go right behind it, to be honest with you. I think they all three are great versions of the Mind Flayer, but I think if I had to rank them, I would go Shadow, physical form Spider, and then season 5 final form. But that's kind of where I'm at. I do think that the reveal scene, unreal. One of the coolest moments in Stranger Things still. Then we have Angela. Angela. Not only is she the most despicable individual in all of Stranger Things, maybe even over Vecna, over the Mind Flayer, over Brenner, over Dr. K, over them all, she's just pure evil. And I don't even think she's a great character. She's just the harshest, cruelest individual you can think of. I can't even imagine someone in the real world being this mean to someone and heartless for no reason. basically making fun of someone who's clearly getting acclimated to this new school and maybe not the best with the school system, making fun of their project, basically making fun of her dead dad, spitting in her face essentially, and just like treating her like dirt underneath her shoe. F tier. Argue with the wall. Screw Angela. She's the worst. Next, we have like the Tom and Bruce hospital monster from season 3. I'm kind of lumping in Tom and Bruce to this because technically they do make up this monster. Is this kind of the beginnings of the physical form Mind Flayer? In a sense, yes, but in this specific moment, I'm kind of just referring to the moment in the hospital. I would say B tier. I'd go like right here, back at B tier. Pretty cool design, menacing presence. Jonathan and Nancy, and then of course Elle put in the work on it for a little bit, but it's so gross, and I think the VFX really started to take a leap here in the show, as there's like this oozy, squelching nature to this creature that just gives me the heebie-jeebies. Next, we have the iconic Demogorgon. I put 1 here because there are tons of Demogorgons by the end of the show, but I didn't want to like individually rank them. So this is kind of just the embodiment of all Demogorgons in Stranger Things, and because of that, I am going S tier. I'm actually even going to go over the shadow form of the Mind Flayer, just because I think Demogorgons have become a cultural icon in Stranger Things. You can show the silhouette of one, a drawing of one. It's kind of representative of Stranger Things. You got the Eggo Waffles, you got a Demogorgon. There's like the 2 icons of Stranger Things. On top of that, great physical monster threat in season 1, but then you get more of them as the seasons progress. The season 4 Demogorgon at the Russian prison, that guy's OP. I think he could take down all the other Demogorgons combined. I mean, he is a freaking beast. Then you got a ton of them in season 5 as well, as Holly Wheeler gets snatched by one. The VFX work just continued to improve with them every season. They're impressive creatures. The design is so unique, and Demogorgons are iconic as hell for a reason. They're like Vecna's right-hand man, the henchman of it all, if you will. Now we're getting down to the end of this list. We have the bullies from season 1, Troy, and I believe James is the other one's name. I'm glad that we never saw them again. Would it have been cool to maybe have a callback to them? Sure, but they're both just mean. They're mean. They're classic 80s bullies. They don't have much depth, but they get what's coming to them, and I'm glad 11 kind of shows them what's up. I would go C tier, probably like top of C tier, like right there. That feels appropriate. Like, they're fine. They're serviceable, but they're not special. And last on this list, we have Flayed Billy. This is, of course, in season 3. The scene I always think of with Billy in this version of him is when he's delivering this monologue to 11. All this time, they've been building it for you. In retrospect, Vecna and or the Mind Flayer were working through him, talking through him. Very menacing presence. Dacre Montgomery killed it in season 3. I am going to say this version of Billy, and then ultimately leading up to the sacrifice he makes, is an S tier villain. I really do feel that way. I feel strongly about that. I would go right here probably, right? I think of the human villains in the show, Billy, when he's flayed, is the best. I think even over Brenner, just because he has that connection to Max. Like, yes, he was an asshole before he got flayed, but he still is Max's brother. And there's that human connection that even though you might not get along or be on the best of terms, they're still family. And so that devastates Max, obviously, and ripples into season 4, but I just think he crushes it. The sauna test scene is unreal. The E Pluribus Unum, which is episode 6 of season 3, that whole monologue at the end with the operatic music playing, iconic Stranger Things moment. So I gotta go S tier for Flayed Billy. But that's going to do it for my tier list ranking of Stranger Things villains. I just woke up, I said, you know what, I want to make a Stranger Things tier list today, and I decided on villains. It was a fun one. What do you guys think? Where would you place these villains in these tiers? Let me know down below and fill out your own and tag me on Instagram if you're interested. But thank you guys, as always, for watching. I have lots of fun Stranger Things videos planned, especially as we approach Tales from 85 next month. I'll be ramping back up with some Stranger Things content, got more rankings like this, and sort of retrospective look-back videos on Season 5 and the show as a whole, so it's going to be fun to kind of get back in the groove with that. But thank you guys, as always, for watching, and until next time, I'll see you on the other side of the Upside Down.